Okay, how's everyone doing this morning? Well, it's morning when I'm recording this anyway. A lot of you probably haven't seen me yet since this is an online class, but my name is Jeff. I'm your GPS and maps instructor for Geography 1080 Spring Semester 2017, and I'm going to be making a video for you on how to use your Garmin GPS unit, and then also how to get the points and tracks that you collect onto your computer. And the software we're going to use is Google Earth. There's a lot of other softwares that I teach with. AllTopo is one, ArcGIS is another, but I thought Google Earth would probably be the best way to go, as it's free and all of you can download that wherever you're at, whether you be in Casper, or I know some of you don't even live in Wyoming that are taking the class. So I think Google Earth will be the best way to go for the last month of class. The GPS unit that I'm going to be going over with you today is the Garmin eTrex Legend. Pretty simple GPS unit. I know some of you have emailed me that you have your own GPS units. Some of you have these, some of you don't have these, but I think most everyone has a Garmin. And while the menu on this may look different than the one you have at home, Garmin's are usually pretty good about everything looking the same. So, you know, what I show you here on my GPS unit, I can guarantee if you have a Garmin, which it sounds like most of you do, that you're going to be able to find the same menu when you're going through this on your own GPS at home. So I think this will work out pretty good. The only thing I'm worried about is having to move this camera off the top of my monitor here and show you the GPS while I'm working it with my other hand, but I think we'll get through it okay. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and take the camera now. And so we're looking at the GPS unit here. Again, this is the Garmin eTrex Legend. And for this particular GPS, the power button is on the lower right side. This button above the power button is called the page button. It cycles through all the different menus. This is the thumbstick. You can shift between options in each menu, up, down, left, right, all over, and then to enter into something that you select, you press down on it, down on the thumbstick. Over on the left-hand side, these two arrows here, one's pointing down, one's pointing up. These zoom you in and out of the map on your GPS. And then this is just sort of a, you can get to different options within each menu when you click on this button. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and power the GPS on. So I'm going to hold down on the right hand side, the lower right hand side, I'm going to hold down the power button. And hopefully you all can see this. It's turning on. And it's a little hard to read right there, but it's saying acquiring satellites, and it's probably not going to get any. And actually, I'm going to pause the recording here for a minute and shut my blinds. I think it might be a little easier to see, so hold on just 1 second here. Okay, I shut my blinds. I think it's a little bit easier to see. Doesn't seem like my camera is focusing all that well, but we'll get through it here. I think you guys will be able to see what I'm talking about. But so when you turn on a Garmin, the first thing you normally see is this window where it's trying to look for satellites, and it says acquiring satellites up there. And here in a minute, a little box is going to pop up that says, can't find satellites. Do you want us to keep trying, or do you want to use with the GPS unit off? And I'm going to tell it to just keep acquiring. It's just easier that way. That way you don't have to worry about turning the GPS part of this back on later. So when this little window pops up, and there it is, I'm going to tell it to, the first option is use with GPS off, new location, restart search. I'm just going to use my thumbstick, go down to the last option there, and just tell it to use with, I'm just going to tell it to keep acquiring satellites. So I'm going to highlight that, press down on my thumbstick, and select that. There we go. So it's going to try to keep looking for satellites. Obviously, when you're outside, it'll find satellites and you'll be ready to roll. So the other thing you can do with Garmin's that I always like to do is I like to brighten the screen up, as it's a little hard to see. So to brighten the screen up, at least on this unit, you tap the power button, and then you can move the thumbstick up, and that brightens it up, and then you can move it side to side, and that darkens it or lightens it as well. And then you can press down on the thumbstick, and that accepts those options. So just a little easier to see there. First thing I always tell my students, no matter whether you're using a simple Garmin unit like this or a fancy Trimble GPS like I teach my students in my later GIS classes, always set the projection of your GPS unit. Always know what coordinate system you want to use and what datum you want to use. And I'll show you how to do that in a second, but that's really important. So if your GPS unit is set to, let's say, Universal Transverse Mercator, so UTM, and the datum you're using is NAD, North American Datum 83, but and you give someone a coordinate and their GPS unit's set to NAD 27, they won't get to that point that you want them to get to. They're going to be 150 to 200 meters off because they're using a different datum than you are. So whenever you give someone a coordinate, always tell them what projection or what coordinate system and datum you were using on your GPS unit. Okay, I think that's the most important thing that you can do when you're using a GPS unit. So to set the projection or the coordinate system on the Garmin, you need to go to your main menu. So I'm going to hit the page button here. So there's the map. That tells you your speed and distance and the ETA to your destination if you have a point that you're going to go find. And if I tap it one more time, now I'm in my main menu. You can see there's a lot of different options in the main menu, but where we're going to go right now is we're going to use the thumbstick and go down to Setup. So I'm going to go to Setup and press down on the thumbstick. And then I'm going to go to Units. And I wish my camera was a little better so that you could see that. But the first option it says is Position Format, and then the second one is Map Datum. Okay? These are the two things that you want to set, or at least make sure you know about when you are using your GPS unit. So currently my GPS is set to UTM UPS, and the datum I'm using is NAD 83. Okay, which is fine if that's what you want to use. Some other, we learned about UTM in the class, remember? So there's 60 zones that go around the Earth. Each zone measures 6 degrees in longitude. And remember, UTM uses meters as its coordinates, okay? If a lot of you are maybe used to using latitude, longitude, then you go up to the top of the menu, so you use your thumbstick to go up to the top. And it's a big menu, and just take note as you're cycling through here. Look at all of the different position formats you can use based on where in the world you're at. For example, if you're, for some reason, had your GPS unit in Germany, you would want to use the German grid position format, okay? But I know a lot of you are used to looking at coordinates in latitude and longitude. And there's 3 different types of latitude longitude on the Garmin's. The first one here is decimal degrees. The second one is degrees decimal minutes, and then the third one is degrees, minutes, and seconds, and that might be the one you're most comfortable with, is degrees, minutes, and seconds. So let's go ahead and set it to that, degrees, minutes, and seconds. The next thing you want to choose is the map datum. So that's the option down below, position format. Right now my GPS is set to NAD83, and that's probably the most common one, is NAD83. Notice there's NAD27, and if you want to use NAD27 for the United States, you would choose the one that says NAD27 CONUS, and CONUS stands for Continental United States. Okay. So I'm gonna go back down and use NAD83. A lot of times people will use WGS84. Let me see if that's in the menu here. It's all alphabetized. Yep, and there's WGS84. And in fact, let's go ahead and use WGS84. So let's select that and click OK. Now remember, datums are important. Remember, like I said at the beginning, if you took a point in degrees, minutes, and seconds in WGS84 and you give someone that coordinate and they want to use their GPS unit to go find it, but let's say their GPS is set to NAD27, they could be potentially, the difference between NAD27 and WGS84 is about 200 meters. So they could be 200 meters off if they're using the wrong datum. Okay. So it's just take note of what position format and map datum your GPS unit is in. Okay. So we're using degrees, minutes, seconds, and the datum we're using is WGS84. The other things in this menu is how you want to read your distance and speed. I would leave that at statute. We're used to reading distance and speed in statute, miles per hour. Elevation, feet, and depth in feet. Okay, we're used to using standard measurements, feet, inches, yards, miles. So again, the biggest thing here is setting your position format and setting your map datum. Okay, and again, you don't have to use degrees, minutes, seconds, WGS84. You could use UTM, NAD83, or whatever you're most comfortable with. Just make sure you know what your GPS is in, okay, so that you can tell someone else if they ever need a coordinate off your GPS unit. Okay, I'm going to hit the page button. So that's this button up here to get back to the main menu. Okay, so I'm back I just hit the page button twice till I'm at my main menu. And I guess the first thing you guys will need to know is how to go out and mark a point and save it in your GPS unit. And it's really easy, okay? So you simply just, if you're at a point, like something you want to mark, you know, whether it be your favorite park, camping spot, where you work, you know, whatever it is you want to do, the front door of your house, you'll walk to that point, turn on your GPS unit, you will walk to that point, and then you will go to the main menu and you will go to Mark. Okay, so I'm going to highlight Mark, I'm going to press down on my thumbstick, and then this is where you mark a waypoint. The first thing you can do is you can name it. So for example, if you're at the front door of your house, you can highlight where that name is and press down on your thumbstick and you just text in the name of the point. It's a little cumbersome with the little thumbstick here, but it's just like texting on your phone. You can text in the name of the point. Okay. When you get done naming it, you just click OK. You can add any notes about the point. You know, whether it be what the weather was like, you know, again, you have to text it in, but you can text in any notes about the point. What time of day it was. Well, it gives you the date and time in the notes already. But you can add in other stuff if you want to. Who you were with, you can type that in. But the default is giving you the date and time that you took that point. Location, this is the coordinate, okay? This is the actual coordinate of the point when you're standing there. And then to save that point, you go down, you click OK, and you save the point. All right. You can go to see where that point is by going to the main menu and going to Find. And then you go to Waypoints. And there you can see I named the point 003, and it's that first one right there. Okay. Let's say you marked a point a couple weeks ago and you want to use your GPS unit to walk to that point. Okay, you want to go find that point again. Okay, so again, you would go to main menu, you would go to Find, and then you would go to Waypoints. You would select the waypoint that you want to get to. So I'll just pick one here. Okay, I'll highlight it, click OK, and then down at the bottom you click on Go To, and then you press down on your thumbstick, and what it does is it draws a line from where you're at to where the point is. Okay, and you can see there's a question mark there that's blinking on my screen, and the reason that question mark is there is because I don't have any satellites. You wouldn't have that question mark if you were outside and had satellites, but and you can use the arrows on the side to zoom in and out of the map, the arrows that point up and down. So I'm going to use the arrow that points, is it up that zooms in? No, up zooms out, so down zooms in to the map. So notice as I zoom in, the scale of my little map changes on the GPS unit. And if you were going to go find this point, the triangle on the map is you, okay? The triangle on the map is you. And what you do is you walk around with your GPS unit and you have that triangle point down that line, okay? You walk around and get the triangle, and you walk so that the triangle is pointing down that line, okay? Now this line on these simple little Garmin units, these Garmin units don't have streets in them or roads or anything like that, so these lines here are as the crow flies, okay? So this seems kind of silly to say, but if there's buildings in the way, you know, someone's house or yard, you're going to have to walk around those objects, obviously, because again, this line points you to the point the way the crow flies. It's just a straight line, okay? But that's how you would go find a point that you have already marked in your GPS unit, all right? I'm going to cancel out of here, so I'm going to hit the page button, which is the upper right hand side. I'm going to hit the page button until I get back to my main menu, okay? So we just went through how to mark a point, we went through how to save it, and then we went through how to go to the Find option and go find a waypoint that we've already marked, and then how to get to that point using our GPS unit, okay? Let's say someone gives you a coordinate. Let's say I email you a coordinate and say, hey, this was a pretty cool site where I went hiking last weekend and there's some waterfalls there. I want you to get to the waterfalls, okay? And let's say I email you the latitude and longitude, okay? And if I'm a good GPS person, I will not only email you the lat long of the waterfalls, I will email you what position format and datum I use, so you can change that in your GPS, okay? That's important. And if someone does give you a coordinate, the next thing you need to ask them, hey, what position format and datum did you use, so you can change your unit to match that, okay? But let's say I gave you a coordinate for some waterfalls and I said I used lat long WGS 84. Our GPS unit is already in that, so we don't need to change it. So what I would do is I would go to my main menu and I would go to Mark. I would name the point Waterfall, okay? So I would text in WA 84. 84. And again, I know my camera is a little fuzzy here, and I wish it wasn't, but I'm texting in the word waterfall. Okay, water. Fall. F-A-L-L. And I'm clicking OK. Okay, waterfall. I can put some notes in about the point if I want, and then where it says location, I'm going to highlight location and press down on my thumbstick, and I'm going to change the coordinates to match the coordinates that I emailed you. Okay, so I would type in the coordinates, whatever the degrees north of the equator was, whatever the degrees west of the prime meridian is. I would type those in and I would click OK. Next thing I would do is save the point. Okay, go down to the bottom where it says OK, and that saves it. And then just like the last steps we just went over, I'm going to go to the Find option in the main menu. I'm going to go to Waypoints. There's my waterfall point that I just typed in. Click on it. I'm going to click on Go To down at the bottom. And then I'm going to use my GPS to go find, it's going to draw a straight line between myself and the waterfall, and I'm going to go find the waterfall. Okay, so pretty simple. I'm going to go back to the main menu right now. But that's how you mark a point. That's how you that's how you save a point that someone has sent you, and then that's also how you go find that point. Okay. The next thing, not only can you mark a point, go find a point, save a point that someone has sent you, you can also mark a track. Okay, like if you're out walking or jogging or hiking. Okay, so if you wanna mark the tracks that you've went on, you go to Main Menu, go down to Tracks. And you need to turn the tracks on. Right now you can see that they're off. Okay. So I'm going to scroll over to the little button here, make sure that it's on. Okay, I'm just using my thumbstick. Turn the tracks on, and then you're ready to go. Once you say your tracks are on, the minute you start walking, it starts saving them. Okay, and when you're done walking, you just go back into the track menu and you go down to well, I'm not walking, so I don't have the option, but once you're done walking or running or going wherever you're going, you'll have the save option, and you just save it. Okay, pretty simple. And that saves the path that you just went on. Okay. There's a lot of other options in the GPS that you can. There's a calculator. There's a stopwatch. Tons of other things that you can get into. Those are the main things, though, that I want you guys to know about the Garmin GPS units. Again, marking a waypoint, finding a waypoint you've marked, typing in a waypoint that someone has given you, and then also saving your tracks. Okay. Remember, when you get done walking or running or wherever, if you're marking your tracks, when you get done, it's always good to go to the main menu and go to Tracks. Save your track, and then I always like to turn it off, because if I forget to turn it off, it'll start. Once I turn the GPS unit on, it'll start. You know, if I'm just wandering around my house marking points, it'll save all of those places that I walked, which sometimes is kind of annoying when you go to download the data. So anyway, that's kind of an intro into how the Garmin works. Again, this is the Garmin eTrex, which might be a little different from some of yours, but the nice thing about Garmin's is somewhere is the menus basically all look the same. So, and obviously if you can't find something that I've shown you in this video, email me, call me, and I can certainly help you with it. So I'm going to pause the video here in a minute. The next thing I'm going to show you how to do is how to download your data into Google Earth. Okay, so I'm going to pause here and then I'll show you how to do that.